All right, let's dive in. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the life and work of Richard Feynman.
Ah, Feynman.
He wasn't just a brilliant physicist, he was
Right.
kind of a legend, like a total iconoclast.
Definitely one of a kind.
And we've got these excerpts from a text about him
Yep.
that a listener sent in, which is awesome. So we're going to try to uncover what made Feynman,
It was good.
And to help us navigate all this, we have our expert guide.
Always happy to talk Feynman. There's always something new to discover with him.
So let's start with Feynman's childhood. The text mentions that his dad had a really unique way of parenting. He wouldn't just give young Richard answers. He'd encourage him to, question everything.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, why are things the way they are?
That's a vital approach, I think.
Right.
Not just memorizing facts.
Right.
It's that genuine curiosity. That's how discoveries are made, right?
Exactly.
Especially in science.
Yeah.
And you can see how that shaped Feynman's entire way of thinking.
And get this, the text actually mentions that Feynman taught himself advanced math as a teenager.
Wow.
No, not just adding and subtracting.
Right.
We're talking calculus and beyond.
Impressive.
Yeah. I can barely balance my checkbook, so.
That just shows his intellectual capacity, right?
Mm.
And the drive to explore complex things, even on his own. It really foreshadows what he would go on to achieve.
So from there, it's MIT, then Princeton.
Make it move.
This guy was on a roll.
Yeah.
And all of this leads up to, a huge moment, not just in Feynman's life, but in world history. The Manhattan Project.
Big stuff.
So for those who maybe aren't familiar, this was the top-secret effort in World War II to develop the atomic bomb.
Yeah. Can you imagine the pressure?
Oh, I can't even begin to.
The world's at war.
Yeah.
Stakes are incredibly high. And Feynman is just 24 years old?
24.
24. Working with, giants like Oppenheimer and Bohr.
Wow. To be a part of something that momentous at 24, that's incredible.
It is.
And the text says that he was actually doing crucial calculations, for the development of the bomb.
Yeah, he was heavily involved in figuring out neutron diffusion, so how neutrons move around within a substance.
Okay.
And critical mass.
Right.
Which is like the minimum amount of material you need to sustain a nuclear chain reaction.
Wow.
Absolutely essential stuff for understanding, and controlling the reactions within the bomb.
Yeah.
Really complex work.
Yeah.
But Feynman, he thrived in that environment.
So it wasn't all serious, though, right? The text also mentions that Feynman had, a mischievous side.
Oh, absolutely.
Even at Los Alamos.
Yeah.
Something about safe cracking.
Oh, yeah. He was known for cracking safes. At Los Alamos, the safes with top-secret documents.
No way.
Not for any bad reason.
Yeah.
He loved the challenge.
Oh.
He saw it as a puzzle.
Right.
Which I think shows, his playful genius.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit of a disregard for authority.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right.
So while working on, the most important scientific project of the time, he's also cracking safes for fun.
Have a little fun, yeah.
But during this time, he also experienced a huge personal loss.
Yes.
His first wife, Arlene, passed away from tuberculosis.
Yeah. Important to remember the human side of this story.
Right.
Even with this groundbreaking work, Feynman was dealing with immense personal loss.
Yeah.
And that definitely shaped his outlook on life.
Right.
Might have even influenced his later work. Who knows?
So after the war, Feynman shifted his focus to quantum electrodynamics.
QED.
Or QED, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for those of us who aren't theoretical physicists,
right.
Could you break this down a bit?
Sure. So basically, QED describes how light and matter interact.
Okay.
At the subatomic level.
Yeah.
But the problem was the existing calculations, they were leading to absurd answers.
What do you mean?
Infinities.
What?
Like as answers to their equations.
That doesn't sound good.
No, and obviously the universe doesn't work that way.
Right.
So there was this big mystery. How do you accurately describe this, fundamental interaction?
Yeah. So there was a problem.
Big problem.
A huge problem.
Big mystery.
And that's where Feynman comes in.
That's where Feynman comes in.
With his famous
Feynman diagrams.
Feynman diagrams.
Yes.
Okay.
But, these diagrams, they weren't just pretty pictures.
Okay, so what were they?
It was a whole new way to visualize and calculate these particle interactions. Instead of getting stuck with these complex equations that led to these crazy infinities,
right.
Feynman diagrams gave you a simpler, more intuitive approach.
So it's like he created a whole new language.
Yeah, you could say that.
To describe this incredibly complex world.
Imagine trying to describe the movement of like a swarm of bees.
Okay, yeah.
Chaotic.
Right.
Feynman diagrams were like a way to track the individual bees.
Okay.
Or particles, right?
Right.
And understand their interactions.
I think I'm starting to understand why he won a Nobel Prize.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, the 1965 Nobel Prize in Physics recognized Feynman's contributions to QED alongside Julian Schwinger and Shinichiro Tominaga.
Okay.
They completely changed our understanding of how the universe works at its most fundamental level.
But it wasn't just about equations and Nobel Prizes, was it? Like, Feynman also had this amazing way of explaining complex ideas in a way that just about anyone could understand.
He really was a born teacher. It's clear in his Feynman lectures on physics.
Oh, yeah. They're still so popular today, right?
Decades later.
Still the gold standard if you want to understand physics.
So what makes them so special? What's the secret sauce?
Well, it's the clarity, for sure, and the depth.
But he also had this humor woven in.
Right.
He didn't just lecture, he engaged with the material, had wit, personal anecdotes. He made it all come alive.
Yeah.
It's less like a lecture and more like he's having a conversation with you,
right,
guiding you through these amazing concepts.
It sounds like he was really focused on sparking a love of learning.
Absolutely.
Not just memorizing stuff.
Yeah, not just rote memorization. He believed that that real understanding came from actively engaging with the material, questioning assumptions, seeing how everything's connected. He wanted to empower students to think for themselves, not just memorize formulas.
Which reminds me of that book, Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman.
Oh, yeah.
Which shows us his personality outside of physics, too, like who he was as a person.
Yeah. Those stories, they show his humor, his adventurous spirit, this just boundless curiosity about everything.
Like that story about him analyzing how ants find their way back to the nest.
Oh, right.
Such a simple thing, but he saw like a mystery there.
Exactly. A puzzle to be solved.
It shows his approach to life, right?
Yeah.
Like observing, experimenting, finding joy in even the mundane things. It wasn't just about ants,
Right.
It was about applying that scientific mindset to life in general.
Exactly.
So we've got his early life, the Manhattan Project, QED, the Nobel Prize, his teaching, his personality. But Feynman didn't stop there, did he?
Oh, no, not at all.
The text mentions he went into like quantum computing and nanotechnology later in his career.
That's right. Always pushing boundaries, exploring new frontiers.
So he wasn't just resting on his past achievements.
Oh.
He was like a visionary, always looking ahead.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He could see the potential of these emerging fields. And his work really laid the groundwork for so much research that's still going on today.
And then, of course, there's the Challenger disaster, just a national tragedy.
Yeah, a terrible event, the explosion of the Challenger space shuttle.
1986.
Feynman was appointed to the Rogers Commission, which was tasked with investigating the cause.
And, well, he didn't just sit back and watch.
Right.
He really took charge to try to uncover what happened.
He was relentless in his pursuit of the truth.
Yeah.
Even when it meant challenging people in power.
Yeah.
He went through the evidence, he did experiments, and he figured out what happened. It was the failure of the O-rings in the shuttle's solid rocket boosters.
Okay.
Because of the cold temperatures that day.
And who can forget that moment in the hearing?
Oh, yeah.
Where he demonstrated the O-ring issue with just like a glass of ice water?
Yeah. A perfect example of his ability to communicate a really complex problem in a way that everyone could understand.
Yeah. It cut through all the jargon. Everyone had to face the truth.
It did.
It's that commitment to truth, no matter how tough it gets,
right,
that makes Feynman so inspiring, I think. It's a lesson for everyone, not just scientists.
Yeah, it's about critical thinking, being willing to challenge assumptions, not just in science, but in all parts of life. So
we've seen Feynman the physicist, Feynman the teacher, Feynman the truth seeker.
Yeah.
What about just Feynman the person? Like, what was he like outside the lab?
Well, he loved music. He played the bongos.
Yeah.
He even did some art.
He just had this real zest for life, didn't he? Like that playful spirit that went beyond just science.
Absolutely.
Even after he was diagnosed with cancer, he he kept pursuing his passions.
He did. It speaks to his resilience,
Yeah.
not letting the illness define him.
Yeah.
He really lived life to the fullest.
Right up to the end.
Right up to the very end.
Which sadly came in 1988.
Yeah, Feynman passed away at 69, leaving behind this just incredible legacy, not just of scientific achievement, but of inspiration for anyone who wants to understand the world.
So what can we learn from this remarkable life? It's really amazing, all these different sides of this guy. Brilliant scientist, gifted teacher, this relentless seeker of truth, and then such a vibrant personality.
Feynman's legacy, it's more than just any one achievement, really. I mean, it's not just the physics, although obviously that's huge. It's his whole approach to life, to learning.
He really showed us that science isn't just these dry equations and formulas. It's about being curious, exploring, always asking why.
And what I find so inspiring, Feynman really believed that anyone could understand science if it was explained well. Like, he saw it as his job to bridge that gap.
That's powerful, because it kind of goes against that stereotype, that science is just this exclusive club for geniuses.
Totally.
It makes it more approachable, more exciting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this deep dive into Feynman's world has been a good reminder of that. It's about keeping that playful curiosity like he had.
So if someone listening wants to learn more about Feynman's ideas, where should they start?
His lectures, his books, they're amazing. Not just for the physics, but for how to think, how to approach problems.
Yeah.
Surely you're joking, Mr. Feynman. That's a good one to get to know his personality.
Right.
And, of course, the Feynman lectures on physics, those are classics for a reason.
They might be, a bit challenging.
They are dense.
But worth it.
Totally worth it. You'll learn about physics, but also about how this incredible mind worked.
So to wrap up this whole journey, what's the one thing we should take away from Richard Feynman's life?
That even with incredible complexity, that sense of wonder, that asking why, it can lead to incredible discoveries. And those discoveries, they belong to everyone, not just scientists. Feynman helped make science more accessible, and by doing that, he enriched our understanding of the universe, even ourselves.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you to explore those mysteries just like Mr. Feynman would have wanted. Keep asking questions, keep that curiosity alive, and until next time, happy exploring.